Hello. Okay, so Chrissy and I are here today to talk about meditation, and I feel like this is Chrissy's
It is.
favorite.
Well, and this, all of the things that we're doing prior to this,
Yeah.
like the lighter dinners and going to bed early, and putting breath and movement in the body first thing in the morning, for me was all to prepare for meditation. So in my tradition, we have a meditation time that we pick and we kind of stick to. And I call it my date with the guru. And it's set in stone. There's no negotiation with that. And so my meditation time is 6:30 in the morning. So that's why I like to get up early, because anything I do prior to that is to prepare for my meditation.
Yeah.
So, doing, the warm water and doing the movement and the breath and doing the abhyanga and all of that is all to prepare me so that I can sit and feel comfortable and relax for meditation. So all these other practices were kind of my incentive for really nurturing this practice.
Nice. And so what has the evolution been for you for meditation? Because I feel like you're talking to a group of us who are definitely newer to it and don't necessarily have that same date with a guru non-negotiable in our lives yet.
It took a long time. And I've gone in phases where I've been totally in love with my practice and felt like I've been slugging through mud. So Swami Rama says meditation is simple, but it's not necessarily easy, right? So that technique of sitting down and allowing yourself to be fully present with yourself, and there's methods for going, through that, but we're not used to that.
No.
And we're so used to our senses going outwards and so many thoughts and emotions and discomfort in the body. And so when we sit to be present with ourselves, it can be really challenging. And so my biggest thing now, what I've learned and in hindsight, is really being as kind and gentle with yourself as possible. And the more you prepare yourself, the easier it is. So I wanted to be able to sit and be still and have a perfect posture and all that stuff that's not really practical or doable for lots of people.
Yeah.
And created so much discomfort for myself and so much mental discomfort. And so going through all of these different steps and making sure that I'm rested and making sure my body feels good. So if I need to do movement, open up, the body, release tension through the joints, whatever I needed to do so that when I sat, I felt more at ease with myself. And the more consistently I did that, the more at ease and relaxed I became. The more your breath opens and flows, the more your mind starts to relax. So it is really a systematic process. And it does take preparation, but we can find joy in that preparation.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where a lot of these practices start to come in. And it's like we're creating that joy within us and taking care of ourselves in the process to prepare us for it.
And in meditation, what would some of your, hacks be, like your life hacks be to be able to help you access that space? Or what does it feel like for you? Or what are your ways to reach the place you want to be when you go to meditate?
So I only got bits and pieces of that.
So it didn't come through in the end.
It didn't come through.
Just tell us. I think meditation we perceive as hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard. It's hard to get there. And so once we're there, once we're seated, we've done the prep, help us understand what it is we're trying to accomplish in that space.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's the whole thing, is that meditation can only happen through a state of relaxation.
Okay.
And so it's not something we're doing, it's something that we're actually relaxing into. And so if we want to be relaxing our mind so that it is present and relaxed and clear and open, we need to work with breath and we need to work with body. So the more relaxed my body is, the more my breath will relax and open and flow. And the longer my breath is, the more relaxed my breath is, the more my mind starts to relax. And that's when meditation actually starts to happen. So for a long time, it's kind of working with these elements and it's like a puzzle piece.
Right.
When you sit down, it's like, oh my God, my mind is so active.
Yeah.
And I've got so many thoughts happening. And then you realize, oh, I've got all these aches and pains in my body. So a lot of it is that back and forth. And your breath is what connects the body and the mind. And so the more you can work with your breath, the more you start to bring your body and your mind together and present. And the more you start to coordinate all three. That's where meditation starts to really happen, when body, breath, mind are all relaxed and they start to flow.
So when we first sit down and our brains are agitated or active, we go to the breath then to give us almost like an anchor or something to concentrate on, to watch, to witness, so that our mind has something to do.
I would actually go to your body first and do a full body scan. So go head to toes to head. Notice where you're holding tension, to relax it, because that act of systematic relaxation in your meditation posture starts to release that tension, not only in your body, but in your nervous system. And that unconsciously starts to relax your breath. So you start to work with your body, and that releasing the tension in the body starts to free up your breath, so that when you get through your systematic relaxation, you do feel more at ease. Your mind will naturally start to calm down because you've given it something to do. And then you start to work with your breath, shaping your breath more.
So the way you're describing it to me, it sounds like you go through the koshas, like the layers of anatomy, right? You go through the physical body first, then you get to the chronic body, then you're going to get to that mental emotional body, and then you're going to get to that intuitive body, and then you get to the bliss body. It's almost like meditation is this way to pull you deeper into yourself. Just pulls you down and deeper into almost when you get to the kosha, the bliss layer at the end.
Totally. And that's the thing, is that I like to call it as moving through the different layers of your being, right? And we have to start with the physical, because that's what we know. And that's usually what's creating a lot of obstacle for us, which is why some gentle movement beforehand is so helpful, right?
Yeah.
And we do say that tension in the body reflects the tension in the mind, and the tension in the mind is like tension in the body. So they're interconnected. So the more I take care of my body, create ease in my body, the more I will naturally create ease in my mind.
Yeah. And I find that's where yoga therapy, I find that when I can, on a physical level, create ease for someone, often I have to have a Kleenex box in my space, because as soon as we've created that ease on a physical level, something else gets to release as well. When that tension gets released physically, something else gets to come out as well.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So what do you think? This one has a lot of resistance in a lot of us. It's admirable that you say you do all the other things so that you can come to your meditation practice, because I feel like a lot of us, this is the one we avoid. This is our resistance. So what is our resistance? What are we
cutting out on me again?
What are we resisting?
Yeah. That's a really good question. So the way I've been taught this and the way I understand it and the way I have learned to explain it is that everything that we've ever experienced in our entire life, everything that we've taken in through our senses, sounds, sights, smells, reading, interacting with people, every single experience that we've had gets stored in us.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets stored on a very unconscious level. We call it samskaras, right?
Yeah.
And so when we sit down, all of that starts to arise.
Mm.
That's pretty scary. We're used to being busy, right? That's partly why we keep ourselves busy. And we're constantly engaged in the world. And so when we slow down, we start to create an environment where that stuff can arise and release.
Mm.
And that can be really hard to sit with. And Swami Rama has said that meditation is the act of making the unconscious conscious.
Oh.
So, and that's how we start to be able to be more aware of our thoughts and our emotions and witness them, because we start to bring all that's unconscious conscious. And we start to be able to see ourselves more clearly and see all that unconscious stuff that is motivating us.
Right.
So, and that's mostly what is motivating us, is all these unconscious, subconscious thoughts and patterns that we've stored in us. And so we sit with ourselves and we watch our breath, we watch our thoughts, emotions arise, we come back to and that is the process of meditation, is just mind wanders, bring it back. Mind wanders, bring it back. Thoughts, emotions. You tell a whole story in your head and then you realize, oh, I'm sitting here meditating. Come back to your breath, anchor yourself in the present moment. But it's because there's this bubbling up now of all this stuff. And we're not used to seeing it because we're so busy doing other things, but it is there. And so that's where a lot of the resistance is. And again, my whole thing with this was I have to be really kind to myself and allow it to arise.
Is it more than kind? It almost feels like you have to have some guts.
You do have, yes. Totally.
Like,
patience.
You gotta be brave. You gotta be brave to do this. This is not like for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. No, you're absolutely right.
Okay, so how do we, in yoga therapy, I always use the analogy that create as much support you need externally while you build your internal structure of support. So,
totally.
So how could I give myself more external support for this activity that feels like it's gonna require some guts and tenacity and it might be icky, right?
Totally.
Okay, so
I think that all these other practices that we've been discussing are helped creating support for us.
Back to square one. Do all the other.
Totally.
Habits. Oh,
because it is about creating balance and a certain amount of stability. Yeah. And so all of these other things, eating well, sleeping well, moving our body, those things all start to create greater mental, physical, emotional stability within us, so that we do have the power to sit with ourselves. We do have the strength, the courage. Yeah. The other thing I would add to that, though, is breath. And outside of your meditation practice, spending 5 minutes working on a diaphragmatic breath. Yeah. Because that is the one thing so our breath is what keeps us in the present moment and keeps us grounded and keeps body and mind connected. And so when things start to arise, we want to have a really solid and grounded breath. And that's what it gives us the staying power and the courage to actually sit with it and be like, I can do this. I can totally do this. And I'm anchored in my breath. And so if I practice my breath outside of my meditation, it becomes preparation and power for meditation itself. Yeah.
That's so inspiring.
Well, and if I can give one example, my teacher, we were doing this, evening meditation class for a year, we never meditated. All we did was breathe. He spent a year just teaching us diaphragmatic breathing, and we did it laying down. And then we eventually, like after 6 months, would sit up. So it was so funny because everybody's like, when are we going to get to the meditation part? And he's like, you know, because he wanted us to have that really solid foundation. And it seems so simple. And it's like, why am I laying here breathing? Why am I sitting up breathing? But that is what then creates the foundation for our practice. And that's what's going to strengthen us in our resolve so that we do have that courage and we have that capacity to sit and pursue our meditation practice.
Gosh, I love it. It just feels like there's a whole level, like new level of possibility around it when you can look at it in a bigger context.
Totally. Mm-hmm. And so when I said that I was coming back to these things and so excited to do them with you, was because I learned to apply all these things the hard way because I was sitting and struggling in my meditation practice. And why does my body not feel good? And why is my breath so erratic? And why is my nervous system so stressed out? And why can I not calm my mind? And why am I tired? And why is my, stomach hurt? And so I started to learn these other things as a way to create more ease for my meditation practice. Mm-hmm. And so learning to apply them now is kind of like doing the groundwork and setting a really, really good foundation so that maybe you might just sit for a minute and be like, oh, I'm just being present with myself and noticing how I feel. And then maybe, you do it to 2 minutes and you start to do a systematic relaxation, and then you're done. And so you slowly build 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then it's not so big of a task and a challenge for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I go to breath all the time. So I like that. I like your story that your teacher for a whole year in a meditation class just made you learn breathing, because for me, I feel like maybe that's where I'm at. Mm-hmm. I go to breath, and breath is everything for me. And I feel like it is my gateway into the next layer, which it is. Mm-hmm. Like it is. Yeah. Yeah.
It's powerful. And a lot of people don't realize the power in it. And I have a whole class where I'm teaching them breathing in a way to take them into deeper relaxation.
Yeah.
I'm on just deep diaphragmatic breath. Yeah.
Chrissy, thank you. That was awesome. Yeah. Your insights on that and your passion around it. It just is inspiring to hear. All right. I'm going to press stop.
Okay. Thank you so much. You too.